Hello everyone. Today I'll be reading Truth and Deception, an Olympic tale by Serra. My name is Jason Berry and this is the second of my readings for you all, so I hope you enjoy. Truth and Deception, an Olympic tale, written and illustrated by Serra. This ancient account has been whispered in my ears by the gods of ancient Greece. It speaks of the time when they came down from Mount Olympus to live among men on earth. The great Greek historian Herodotus and other poets have written fabulous accounts of these events in ancient Greek. These stories are the fables that have given us the term fables. Truth and Deception, an Olympic tale. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies. John 8:44. In the golden era of the 8th century BC, on the Peloponnesian Peninsula, once again the Olympics, the most elaborate of all festivities, was celebrated with competitors from every colony of the great land of Greece. Opening the festival, a large parade of athletes, judges, and priests marched toward the immense statue of Zeus, where they pledged loyalty to the games and brought offerings to honor their great god of the Greeks. Only the men were granted the honor of participating in the games. But now, there were two exceptions. Deception, wanting to settle her differences with truth, challenged her in the games and, for this reason, both fell to the earth. Truth, the first daughter of time and honor, almost matched the goddess of beauty, Aphrodite. She was her beauty. Meanwhile, her archival, the treacherous Deception, older sister of libel and jealousy, boasted to everyone about determination to overthrow truth at any cost. So they were there, ready for the triathlon, wrestling, jumping, hurdles, and finally swimming across the straits of the Ionian Sea. In their first confrontation, Truth fought so frankly and openly, as he always had. This had been her style, and yet Deception, in her falsehood, slipped up and was injured. Who was bigger, used deceitful tactics in wrestling. Pretending to be the victim of a lack of truth, she applied a blow so low that she caused confusion. Judge of proof, who declared Deception the winner. Noisy men who ate at the outset were already sympathizers with Deception. She said that she was winning against truth in their first clash. Then came the next stage of the triathlon, the hurdle jumping. Deception ran loose and fast, but Truth, despite her previous injury, never stopped before any obstacle and was determined to pass them over, one after another. Deception preferred an easier path, and, again, did not respect the rules of honor and nobility that had governed those games. She separated from the truth. She took a shortcut through the swamp, not caring about getting covered in mud. She once again used her vile strategies, and once more she defeated truth. They arrived thus at the third and last contest, which was also the most difficult of all. Their challenge was to swim across the Ionian Sea at the isthmus between Corinth and Delphi. All competitors now would be monitored closely by a small boat taking each of them, and by the technical coach for each athlete, who would encourage them, or, in case of withdrawal by fatigue, to bring them back in the boat to shore in defeat. Deception, who had won the first of the competitions in this tournament, first launched herself on water. She was swimming ahead, and close to her, her trainer. Pride criticized her regarding her weakness, her poor technique, and her fear. He knew that hearing his harsh words would be stimulating to Deception. Truth dove in bravely to swim at the difficult isthmus. She was coached by Virtue, who guided her faithfully as to her direction, her speed, and her technique. Deception, who was always heavy, became increasingly slow in water. The forces that had not shown themselves before now started to clarify the difference between the two contestants with every stroke. The waters and the elements seemed to conspire again. Deception, weighing her down more and more. Soon her body was without the strength or ability to even remain on the surface, for she had already swallowed a large quantity of water. Her coach and trainer now shouted desperately to Deception, calling her to return to the boat, and exhausted, Deception began to sink. Terrified to see herself so far from success in this final event, Deception, she tenaciously grabbed hold of her coach, Pride, pulling him into the sea in a desperate and futile effort to save herself. But ultimately, neither one nor the other could be saved. Truth soon reached the beach and achieved her victory. She was proclaimed the winner of the triathlon and was received by both men and by gods. Time was passing, and it took all of Truth's strength to remain confident and to persevere in her arduous task. The day was festive, and on the beach a huge crowd was divided into two groups. One with the twisted men who hoped that Deception would triumph, while the other contained those who were cheering for truth to prevail. Proteus, along with various nymphs, naiads, and many other watery gods, invisible to many human eyes, closely accompanied the competition, and between themselves placed bets as to who would win. Nearby, Neptune, the god of all seas, placidly noticed their dispute as she observed the race. Oh, but the oracles of the whole of Greece already knew who would have the day. Deception, who, by her nasty and underhanded means, had twice won, could not now circumvent the brother of Zeus, the powerful Neptune, nor could she rely again on shortcuts to get her closer to the great moment of truth. Crowded with an olive branch and covered with flowers that had been thrown into her hair, her triumphal march, Truth was charged by Virtue in time with all the honors of the temple of Zeus. Truth knew nothing about Deception until they brought her body to the shore and explained the news of the tragedy to the onlookers. Even when young, Deception had begun to use various means and masks to circumvent Truth, because this, sooner or later, when Truth prevailed and won, the Greeks of that era eventually understood what had generated the entire dispute. And nevertheless, Truth, who had always had a noble spirit, still felt deep regret that Deception had died a terrible death by drowning on the day of Truth's victory. Yet Truth arrived at the temple of Zeus at dusk, indifferent to all of the tributes and to the great party being celebrated in her honor that night. Truth and Virtue rode back into the isthmus by moonlight. There they pondered the competition between Truth and Deception, and the ugly events that had brought such devastating results to the games. Truth asked, "What shall I take from this day? What attitude is worthy and right for me?" In the moonlight, as Truth and Virtue observed the bonfires and listened to the distant celebrations, they became aware of a quiet fishing boat, bobbing gently near their boat. And the one who pulled the fishing net along was an old fisherman named Forgiveness. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again. Again, this is Truth and Deception, an Olympic Tale by Serra. Have a good day.